Hi, welcome to Cousin Osmosis. I'm Atlas Selman.
And I'm Shanna Cooley.
And we're cousins?
Yes.
And this is a show about cultural osmosis. Sort of.
Well, yes. It's about the things that we've learned about shows or movies or other pieces of media through cultural osmosis. And then if those things are right.
Pretty much. That's a great description of the show.
Yes.
Today's episode is about Cardcaptor Sakura, the first anime that I was like, yeah, I'm watching an anime. So... We're going to be watching the first 3 episodes, just a reminder that that's what we decided on. So, I don't know if you're the kind of person who watched before, or if you're the kind of person who's going to pause it and watch in the middle, but first 3 episodes, that's where we're at. Now, I think we're just going to get started right off the bat.
Yep.
We're going to do this first, and then we're going to move into, some other discussion. What do you think Cardcaptor Sakura is about? What do you know about it?
So, it's Cardcaptor?
Cardcaptor.
Okay.
Sakura.
Is that one word?
Yes.
Cardcaptor is one word. Is Sakura a separate word?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know what Sakura means. I'm going to be honest. I don't know. I think I've heard it before. I don't know what it means.
Okay.
It might be a name. Is it a name?
Do you want me to tell you?
No. I'm going to guess it's a name. I feel like I'm going to be so wrong.
To be fair, Japanese names often mean something.
That's true. It might be a word and a name.
Especially in anime.
I don't know any Japanese. I don't know any Japanese. And Cardcaptor. Okay, I'm going to guess that it's about kids in high school who play poker.
That's a good guess. I'm happy that you guessed that.
Yes. Because Cardcaptor, you play cards and then you, kind of capture wealth if you win. So I'm going to guess that it's about kids who have, kind of a semi-underground poker tournament type thing in their high school, and they have to, hide it from the teachers because it's, illegal, kind of, or, at least against the rules. But, it's kind of this thing where, the whole school is super into it, but none of the teachers really know that they're super into it, but they're, suspicious, and they're constantly trying to catch them, and they're, having to hide it. But then there's also drama and romance.
I would totally watch that.
Yeah. Me too.
You've made a good show, Shanna.
Thanks. It's called Cardcaptor Sakura. Just kidding. That's already a thing.
It's already a thing.
And it's not what I described, I'm sure.
No. For this episode, we figured since I knew we came in knowing you didn't know anything, we do a little more talking about the beginning. So I think we're going to both talk about our experiences with anime.
Yes.
And this sort of thing. Because my experience with anime is, I think, very typical. That in around, elementary, middle school, that sort of thing. I think I guess it was elementary school because I was probably in 3rd or 4th grade. So that's definitely elementary school. Yeah. But sort of the later end of it. I had a friend who was nerdier than me who was like, check out this. It's a cartoon from Japan. It's in Japanese and you read the subtitles. And I was like, my mind was blown. And I was like, whoa. And Cardcaptor Sakura was the first anime that I was like, I'm watching an anime. I watched it in Japanese with the subtitles. I'd watched Studio Ghibli films and I'd watched Pokemon and Dragon Ball Z on TV, but I didn't know that they were any different than Western cartoons.
Yeah. They just came on TV like anything else.
Yeah. So that's my very typical thing of understanding of anime. And I guess technically, why don't you go now?
I haven't really had much experience with anime, to be honest. Most of my experience with anime has been through cultural osmosis. And yeah, I didn't even watch the Studio Ghibli movies as a kid. My perception of anime growing up was, my first experience of anime was hearing the word, and I was like, anime, what does that word mean? And then somebody told me, oh, well, they didn't really tell me what it was. They were like, it's this. And then they showed me pictures of the animation style that is common in anime. And
do you remember what any of those pictures were of?
No. I don't even know, if they showed me, pictures or, some clips or something. I don't know. They basically were like, oh, it's this kind of thing. And I was like, oh, okay. Why does it have a word for it? And so then they kind of explained to me that it was like, oh, it's Japanese animation, and I was like, okay, so is everything from Japan anime? And they were like, well, kinda, not really. It's
mostly, yes.
I mean, yeah, mostly, but anyway.
I think technically, yes.
I think I'm still confused on, the strict definition of anime. I know it when I see it, but I don't know if I'd be able to,
I think strictly any animation that comes out of Japan is anime. Let me double check.
Yeah.
I think by strictest definition, that is true.
Yeah, I think so too, but usually when people say anime, they have a specific look in mind, because sometimes people will say oh, I'm going to draw this character, but anime style. And so there is a specific
Okay.
style of animation.
Anime, according to Wikipedia,
Yeah.
is a style of hand-drawn and computer animation originating and commonly associated with Japan.
Okay, cool.
So it's that specific style.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's kind of how they described it to me, was like, well, I mean, it's Japanese animation, but it's this specific look.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my first experience with anime. And then after that, I kind of picked up on like just general anime tropes.
What are some of those tropes? Please tell me.
Things like really exaggerated expressions, like the cartoon lines that kind of like go out from a person's face in like an explosion mark, and then like the background fades away and it's just those marks, and their face is like, and it's like really big and exaggerated, and maybe like a sweat mark will pop up on their forehead or something. Like sometimes words popping up on the screen to like exclaim, a little bit comic book-esque at moments. And it's,
that's because anime tends to come from manga, which is Japanese comic books.
I did know that. So yeah, the kind of like really big expressions, romance playing a big part in a lot of them is, I mean, that's common in a lot of movies. That's not just anime. But that being a thing, I guess I feel like magic plays more of a role in more animes than it does in like in many, I don't know. I this is my perception. I picture magic as playing more of a role in more animes than it does in most Western shows and movies. But I could be wrong. Because now that I'm thinking about it, there's a lot of magic in Western stuff too. I don't, like, so much of anime to me is like hard to explain, but you just kind of know it when you see it.
All right. So what personal experience do you have with anime? Because I think you have some recent experience.
I do. Recently, not that recently, but like a year ago, somebody tried to get me into Full Metal Alchemist. And I watched the first few episodes, and I could not get past the one with the dog and the little girl.
Yeah, that's a rough.
That
was a rough choice.
Like, I started at the beginning, and I was like, oh, this is really interesting. But after each episode, I was just so like, I can't. It was too much for me.
Full Metal Alchemist is objectively a good anime, but it's certainly not the one I would pick for you to watch.
Yes, it is. It is very well done, and I appreciated it. I appreciated it for what it was trying to do, and it wasn't for me. I like wanted so badly to like it, but I just couldn't get past that episode. And the like gluttony guy freaked me out.
Yeah, that one's. Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he was eating people, and I couldn't do it. My boyfriend Peter tried to get me into some, I don't remember
One
which
Punch
anime
Man?
it was. Yeah, One Punch Man. And I, again, could not with One Punch Man.
I love Peter. That's a very bad first anime to show people. The whole point of it is that it plays off shonen tropes, and that's why it's interesting, because it's a subversion of the tropes, and like making them funny, because one of the...
It's making fun of other animes.
Yeah, one of the way anime is categorized is by target audience. That's like one of the main ways. So shonen is like... That's what people typically think of when they think of anime. That's like your Naruto's, your Dragon Ball Z's. It's like it's targeted at young boys, and that's like there's like big fights and like stuff like that. That's what One Punch Man is playing off of, because the whole point is like he finishes things in one punch, while a lot of shonen anime take episodes and episodes and episodes. That's like the original joke. And then there's shoujo, which is for young girls, which is Cardcaptor Sakura is a shoujo anime, but there's also like Sailor Moon, and like it's where the magical girl genre originated. Yeah,
I think that's where I'm thinking of like magic as playing a big role in that type of anime.
Yeah, there's a specific genre for that. There's like one that's like adult women and adult men, but I can never remember the names. But that's sort of anime in general. It's interesting. I guess that I don't think of me knowing things about anime as being my nerdiest thing about me.
Yeah.
Because I'm a big nerd in other ways. I'm super into role-playing games, I'm super into comic books, but I guess there was a time when I was super into anime, and like I was like an anime kid. I wasn't like as much of an anime kid as other kids, though, so I never think about it as being a super nerdy kid. But I guess I'm just your nerdier friend who's showing you anime for the first time.
Yeah, pretty much.
But let's move on to the next thing, where I'm going to show you some Cardcaptor Sakura pictures. Awesome. And you're going to describe these pictures. You can find these pictures in the description. Let's start with this one.
Okay.
Describe.
So I see a girl, and she has light brown hair and big green eyes, I think. And she's wearing this big puffy dress that's red and frilly, and it has a big bow on the front, and she has really puffy sleeves, very like Lolita style dress, which I'm super into. And she has these gloves that are frilly with like bows on them, and she's holding two things. In one hand, she is holding, it looks like a giant playing card of some kind, or maybe it's some sort of card. And in the other hand, she is holding it looks like a cane that has a bird's head. Oh, she also has wings on her back, and the bird has like wing things going off the sides of its face. Yeah, I like her outfit. It looks like she's flying. So, based on this picture, I'm gonna guess that the cards are actually magic cards instead of, like, poker cards. But I don't know how they're magic. But she's magic. She looks very magical. Okay, second picture. Another girl. Is it the same girl? It looks like it might be the same girl. They're animated. They're drawn very similarly. So it might be the same girl and it might be a different girl. But she's wearing a different outfit.
You're looking to me for help, and you know I'm not going to help you.
I know. It's just my impulse. She's got on a little, looks like a kind of like a pinafore type coat that flares out at the sides, but in the middle it's cut open, and she looks like she's wearing white pants underneath that. It's pink. It's got buttons up the sides, and it's got straps. She's got a little, it looks like it might be a wand or a staff that has like a circle on the end with a star in it and little wings on the side. It reminds me of the wand that Star has in Star vs. the Forces of Evil, which is a Disney show. And then she has a little floating bear type angel thing with a little puffy tail. Again, I'm going to guess that she is also magic.
That's all
They have like magic looking wand cane type things, and I'm guessing those are their like spell focus type item. Yeah, and she has yellow gloves. Again, I really like her outfit and I want it.
That's part of why I picked that picture, because I thought you would like that outfit.
Both of them, I want their outfits and their canes. Okay, third picture. So this is a girl. I think it again might be the same girl, but I'm not sure.
You know what? I'm just going to tell you, it's the same girl.
Okay, I thought so. Okay, just wanted to be.
Function under the assumption that it's the same girl.
It's the same girl. She's got on, this time, a white little pleated mini skirt and a black top with a little thing tied around, and she's wearing rollerblading gear. She's wearing rollerblades and knee pads and elbow pads and wrist guards, but no helmet. Instead, she's wearing like a schoolgirl hat. And she is again floating in the air, and there's people surrounding her, one of whom is a girl who looks like she's kind of a fangirl. She's got gray hair and bangs, and she's like, oh, like kind of expression. Another one above that is a boy who is also wearing the same hat, and oh, they're all wearing kind of the same outfit. A uniform. They've got a uniform on. So above is I think a boy, is a kid who is winking, but looks angry.
Just a very angry
And then
wink.
on the other side is two guys, one of whom has gray hair and glasses and is like, ah. And the other one is a stoic looking boy with black hair. And he's like kind of looking into the distance like, I am a handsome man. And they all kind of seem like they're focused on her.
Any feelings about these characters?
I'm guessing she's magic and they're her like friends / frenemies. Like I think the angry winking boy is a frenemy or enemy. And then the others look like the two gray-haired kids look like they're friends, and then the handsome boy looks like maybe he's the love interest. So, yes.
All right. Well.
Oh, and there's cherry blossoms in the background to just emphasize that pretty girly feel. That's all.
I feel like I gotta tell you what the Japanese word for cherry blossom is.
Oh, is it Sakura? Good.
Yes. I'm glad you noticed those, though.
Is her name Sakura? I bet her name's Sakura. She's a cherry blossom. So I was right when I said it was a name, and I was right when I thought it was a word.
Yes.
And you pointed me in the right direction.
I did.
Good.
I'm looking out for you.
Yes, yes.
All right. I think that's everything we've got to say before we actually watch the episode. So remember, first 3 episodes of Cardcaptor Sakura. We'll be back after this musical sting.
Bye.
Bye. And welcome back.
We have just watched the first episode of Cardcaptor Sakura.
Well, just is a relative term.
Yes. I mean, I watched it yesterday.
I watched it 2 days ago, so I guess that's pretty just.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let's just get Cardcaptor Sakura. It was a thing.
Yes, it was good.
Okay.
I quite enjoyed it.
I'm excited because I also quite enjoyed it, and I was worried that you weren't going to quite enjoy it, but the fact that you did makes me happy.
I liked it, yeah.
I refrained from asking you, but now that you spilled the beans that you did like it, I'm excited. I was very hype. When you first turn it on, one of the first things you see the Clamp logo, which I wanted to mention because Clamp is the manga group that made Cardcaptor Sakura, and it's also an all-women's group, which is just neat and cool, and I wanted to mention that and bring it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, but right after that, we get straight into that theme song.
Yes. The theme song I watched twice, because the first time I was just reading the subtitles to hear what the song was about, and then the second time I was just watching, like, what was happening in the background. Like, not in the background, but what was happening in the theme song visually.
This was like peak anime theme song.
Yes.
It also, the music felt very like of the period of like the 90s music. Like, it brought me back to that time really strongly, even though I didn't specifically remember the theme song. And it was good. I liked it a lot.
I did too. It made me feel really happy.
Yeah, and then it cuts straight into Sakura having it cuts straight into a dream sequence. Well, what we learn is a dream sequence. It's kind of weird at the beginning. We see like an outline of a face and a drop, and Sakura says, "Who is calling out to me?" And we see like a book, and we see Sakura in a cool outfit on top of a building near Tokyo Tower with a familiar and stuff. And it's just kind of a confusing sequence. She's like falls off the building, and then we get the alarm, and she wakes up, and it was a dream.
What's interesting is I definitely recognized it as Sakura, who was up there with the familiar, but I watched this with Peter, and later on in the episode, he said something about, like, that woman, and I was like, that was Sakura. And he was like, was it? I didn't get that. And I was like, no, that was her. And so I think it is a little bit confusing, and later she does say, like, was that supposed to be me?
Yeah, it's definitely her, like, not... It's definitely, like, a future version of her if it's her.
That's what I thought, too. But I just thought it was interesting that she didn't know if it was supposed to be her or not, and neither did Peter.
Yeah.
But I got it. I was like, that's her, right? Like, looks like the same person.
We also, around this time, get the title card, which says Sakura and the Mysterious Book.
Yes.
Which title cards are very important.
I love them. They, I remember them from all the kids' shows I watched as a child. And so it made me go back to, like, the days of, like, before I could read, and I would shout at my mom in the other room to come read the title for me.
Oh, that's so cute.
Because it was back when you didn't have, like, you couldn't rewind or fast forward TV. So I'd be like, quick, come get, like, read the thing now. Oh. Because it would just flash through, and if she wasn't there, right, to read it, I didn't know what the episode was called.
That's an adorable story. I'm glad you shared that. We then get into some introductions of, we get an adorable introduction for Sakura where she starts talking about herself. She's in 4th grade.
Which I did not expect. I thought that she was going to be older than that. I thought she was going to be in, like, high school.
Yeah, I think I was in 4th grade when I watched this. So I was, like, definitely of their age group. And she does look, like, younger when you, like, look at her physically. She looks like I would be like, is she really in high school if they were, like, a high schooler?
But that's the thing with a lot of anime. Sometimes it looks like that, where it's like, they look so young, some of the women, when they're, like, not really supposed to be that young. So
but she is that young.
I wasn't sure if she was supposed to be in... Yeah, I didn't think she was supposed to be in 4th grade until the show started. And then I was like, oh, yeah, that makes sense once you see her in relation to other people.
Yeah, she looks like a little kid.
She looks like a little kid.
Yeah. We learned that her favorite subject is PE and her least favorite subject is math, and that if she had to say she was good at something, it was being cheerful, which is just so adorable.
I know, I loved that.
It's interesting how much telling this thing does and what it chooses to tell and not show. Like, we don't see her going into, like, into the 4th grade classroom or anything, or learn that, like, she likes PE because she's doing PE. It, like, directly tells us that. And I actually think it kind of works. Normally everything's about, like, show, don't tell. But I think, like, getting some of this stuff out of the way lets them move into the action quicker and, like, show the important things. Like, the next person we get introduced to is her brother, Toya. He's in high school. They tell us about him, but then they show us their relationship really well in a very cute sibling relationship. I think you even likened it to your sibling relationship.
Yeah, specifically when he tells her, like, what were you doing stomping around upstairs like that? And she's like, I wasn't stomping, I was just walking. I've had that exact same encounter with my brother. For some reason, I guess I just walk loud upstairs. And they used to live down here in the room that's now mine. He and my sister-in-law used to live here. And they would both be like, why do you always stomp up there? And I was like, I don't stomp, I just walk.
Did he call you a monster? Because that's what Toya does.
No, but he has called me an elephant, so similar.
And then Sakura has like a little fantasy about growing really tall and stomping on him because she was upset that she's shorter than him.
Yeah.
We also get introduced to her dad, who's an archaeologist. I don't remember him being an important character at all, but he's an archaeologist and he sews and cooks. And
I thought it was very cool that she said that he's really good at sewing and cooking. Because those are typically, like, stereotypically mom things. And yes, her mom has passed away, which we learn. But I just think it's interesting that those are things that those are the first things she thinks about.
Yeah,
when
those
she
are
thinks
the
of her
things she
dad.
specifically admires, which is very cute. Then Toya goes and leaves Toya, her brother, goes and is leaving for school early because he has soccer practice first. And Sakura is like, and like eats her breakfast really fast. They have some really cute sound effects when she's eating.
It was like video game sound effects almost, where it was like, doot, doot, whoop, whoop, whoop.
She eats really fast and is like, gets her lunch from her dad and heads out to catch up with Toya, and she rollerblades, which I am super biased because I like rollerblading, but I think it's adorable and like a cute character trait that she rollerblades.
I agree. I really love her on her rollerblades and like her little outfit she wears with the wrist guards and the knee guards and everything.
Yeah, because her brother rides a bike.
Yeah.
But no, she's got like wrist guards and knee guards that have her name on them, and
Yeah.
it's adorable.
She's all out with the rollerblading.
She like skates through some sakura plants. She like looks around and is like, oh, it's so pretty. But she catches up to her brother, and we learn that she's rushing to catch up to her brother because she has a crush on her brother's friend Yuki, who he is her brother's friend. We get an introduction to him, and she's like, he's so sweet and nice. And
I just think her little crush on him is the cutest thing ever. It's so innocent and sweet.
it is adorable, and her brother gives her shit about it.
Yeah. And then she kicks him with her blades.
Yeah.
Which is just savage.
And Yuki humors her. It's
Yeah.
nice. He like leans down to like talk to her, and they head off to school together. And when they get to Sakura's school, Yuki like tosses her a piece of candy.
Yeah.
We then get introduced to Sakura's best friend, Tomoyo. She is like, that was a good move, Yuki. And she kind of has a crush on Sakura. We sort of like.
That's what I got the vibe of that, because she keeps wanting to film only her.
Yeah, she's a photographer, filmographer, like, person. And she's like, I think at one point she says, there's nothing more interesting or cuter than you, Sakura, to film.
Yeah, because Sakura is like, why don't you film something more interesting than just me? And she's like, but there's nothing more interesting or more adorable than you.
Yeah, and it's cute. This is actually something that was cut out of the original dub. I remember this, and like, because that's actually a really common thing in original dubs during the 90s and stuff, was LGBT relationships, which were a little more common in anime, were mostly omitted from the Western dubs because they were marketed more towards children.
Yeah.
Yeah, so she does have a little bit of crush on her. We get a montage of Sakura at school. We see Toyomo helping her, like, when she's not paying attention, she's thinking about her dream. And then we see her doing backflips and doing, like, baton tossing. And she also is distracted there thinking about her dream.
Yeah.
So we see that her dream is on her mind.
Yeah. And it's when she's sitting in class that she says, was that supposed to be me? About her dream. And that was the point at which Peter was like, oh, I didn't get it either.
Sakura is the first person home. She gets home alone, and she's home alone, and she gets to see the note from her dad that he's going to be home late. But then she hears a weird noise coming from her dad's library, so of course she goes to check it out. But she is very cautious. She's got her baton with her, and she's like, she talks about, like, if I see anyone, I'm calling the police. Why did this have to happen why Toya and Dad weren't home? She's, like, very nervous about it. But she goes downstairs, and she doesn't see anything, and then she sees a book, and she picks the book up, and it's the book from her dream. And then it, like, magically pops open, like there was a lock on it, and it, like, pops open, and she's like, what happened?
Yeah. She's so nervous during this whole scene, and I found it very relatable. Because there have been times when I've heard some sort of weird noise when I've been home alone, and I definitely grab, like, a sharp or blunt object every time. Like, usually what I go for is a butcher knife. And I just walk around my house with a butcher knife.
God, that's so creepy sounding.
Yeah.
But
But it's in my own, like,
Fear.
Fear, yes. But if anybody was like home and I didn't know they were home, they'd probably be freaked out if they came around the corner and I was like, ah!
You were just like holding a butcher knife out.
Right.
Yeah, but the book pops open and it's full of cards, and she picks up the first one and she starts to sound out what it says. I assume she's sounding it out because it's written in English, so I think it's like she doesn't totally know English as much, because when you're in 4th grade, you know how to read normally.
Yeah.
So I think it's just like, it's in English, and so she doesn't know English as well, and she starts to sound it out, and you start to see like magic around her, and she sounds it out and it says windy, and so when she reads windy, wind starts blowing, obviously, and it blows all the cards out of the thing, and they shoot out of the house, like through the walls, like magic portal style, and just like off in, we see like the outside of the house, and they're just flying off like way into the distance. Like they're gone. There's no getting those back easy.
This was the point at which I was watching and I go, that can't be good.
No, but it very clearly sets up the crux of this show.
Yes.
Which is collecting the cards.
Yes.
If you hadn't guessed that. We then like see a thing like rising out of the book, and it's Karaboros or Karo, and it's an adorable sidekick. It looks like a little bear with a bear head, like a teddy bear head with a cat body and like a tail with like a poof on, like a long tail. Like a lion tail, exactly.
And then wings.
And little wings, and he's adorable.
He's so cute.
He's like, hey, what's up? Or I think he specifically says,
howdy, heidi ho!
Howdy, howdy ho is what he says in the,
in the sub.
In the sub. I think, I watched this twice, actually, because I watched the first one on a website where I could watch it at double speed, and then I watched the second one on the website I knew you were watching it on.
Yeah.
And in the one that I watched at double speed, it says he has an Osaka accent, so I think it's interesting that, like, how things are subbed, and if they go, like, true to the original, which is if he just has a weird accent that we wouldn't recognize because it's in Japanese, or if they make him, like, talk funny because
that's the way to kind of
get the point across, sort of. So it's interesting that the choice there. And we've learned out that Kerberos, he guards the book. That's his, like, job.
Also,
and he's supposed to make sure nothing happens to the cards.
When he first popped out of the book, Sakura makes this face like, what is happening? And I made the exact same face, apparently. Because Peter turned to me and was like, that's you right now.
You're making the face.
You're making that same face.
Mm-hmm. He's supposed to guard the books, and there's like a little comic relief bit where he's like, what happened to the cards? The cards are gone. And he's like, what happened to the cards? And then she's like, they blew away. And they're like, ah ha 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 ha. And he's like, wait, what? They blew away?
Yeah.
He's we clearly see that he is the comic relief companion animal of this story, which the like companion animal is like a trope of magical girl stuff.
Yes.
So he's an important character.
I love him so much.
We then get Sakura eating dinner very fast, and she picks up her dessert and brings it upstairs, and Karo is meditating, trying to find the cards, but he can't find them. We then get the explanation of what the Clo cards are, because that's what they're called. We also get that the cards are called Clo cards.
Which is what it says on the cover of the book.
Yes.
It says Clo.
Yeah. We learn that they are, with the seal broken on the card, I wrote these things down, so I'm just sort of going to read them to you. Mm-hmm. With the seal broken, catastrophe will befall the world. So that's bad. The cards were made by a sorcerer named Clo Reed. Each card possesses incredible power, but they like to act on their own, and normal force is no match for them, which is why Clo created Karaboros to stop the cards from getting away. But Karo fell asleep for 30 years. And we find out that the noise that Sakura heard was him snoring.
Which is hilarious because I kept hearing the sound and it sounded like this horrible, like terrifying gurgle. Mm-hmm. Oh, it sounded like some monstrous underwater beast, but it was just this tiny little guy.
Just a tiny little guy snoring.
Yeah.
We then get Karo really quickly, like, kind of trick Sakura into doing a ritual to make her a Cardcaptor. The ritual looks cool, but it's just like, what's your name? And then he's like, and blah, 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 you're a Cardcaptor now, take the thing.
Yeah.
And it happens really fast, and Sakura is not about it. She's like, I can't do this, why are you picking me for this?
I'm just a kid.
But then we see outside the window, it's windy, and it's like, oh, there's a weird noise, what's that? And they look out the window, and there's a giant bird.
Like, this bird is huge. It's like as big as the house.
It's huge, and Kara was like, that's probably the fly card. You as the Cardcaptor have to go deal with that. And she's like, what? And so the next scene is her rollerblading out there in her pajamas.
I also think it's really cool that each card is like a whole being.
Mm-hmm.
I was not expecting that.
Yeah, it's very neat. There's some great character design in this show.
Mm-hmm.
But she rollerblades out there in her pajamas anyway, despite, like, not being into it. She summons her stick, which looks a lot like her baton, but it's not. It's the Chloe Reed staff or whatever.
Which is what was in her dream.
Yep.
And she imagines her baton being that, and that's what distracts her.
Yeah.
In PE.
Mm-hmm. And she's still unconfident, but she jumps on the back of Fly anyway. And she like skates up and jumps on the back of this giant bird.
Which is so badass. She's so badass on those skates.
She's very good at the skating.
Yes.
But she binds Fly with Windy. She uses the Windy card to blind Fly. And this is the point where we're not... we're supposed to just suspend disbelief on, like, how she knows how to do all of this.
Yes.
Because she just knows the words to say.
And I was like, wait, how did she learn this? Maybe part of the ritual is, like, some of that is intrinsically imparted to her.
Maybe. I think that's the best answer we're going to come up with, because I don't think they're going to give us a real answer.
I really thought the concept was cool, that she's basically playing a strategy card game, but with magic.
Yep.
Because it's like, oh, well, Fly is related to Windy, which makes sense.
Uh-huh.
Like in a card game, like I play a lot of games, and that makes sense that you would have a Fly card be connected to a Windy card because of the air and everything.
Yeah.
And so I just think that it's cool that it's a strategy-based card game, but with magic.
Yep, pretty much. She uses Vitamin Windy. She's still concerned about being a Cardcaptor, but then Caro suggests she use the Fly card, and the wings on her staff grow giant, and she can fly on it like a broomstick. And Caro is like, isn't it cool to be a Cardcaptor? And she's like, yeah. She's like, no, I don't want to be a Cardcaptor.
I still never agreed to anything.
Yeah, but we get the idea that she's more on board now than she was previously. Then we get a very cute, catchy ending song.
I loved it, and I want to own it.
Own the song?
Yes.
And you probably find it.
Yes, I probably could.
We then get there's a segment called Leave It to Caro.
Which was one of the best parts of the show.
It's very adorable. It's basically, Caro is like, it's a bit where Caro explains things about the show. Mm-hmm. This time it's about their school uniform. Caro goes into detail about what Sakura's uniform looks like and what the boys' uniform looks like. Although that's like just like an outline of it. It's not like very
it's like
much
in case
detail.
you were curious, this is also what the boys.
Yeah, it's nowhere near as in detailed. But I just thought it was like a really, really cool segment of like, hey, here's a little more detail about things that here's some things that you fans might like.
Yeah, I also like the little office that.
Yeah, there was like a little office. Caro had like a desk and a plush chair.
Yeah, it reminds me of Papa, our grandpa's office.
It's just like,
because it's got the like wooden chair or the wooden desk and like the plush chair, and it just has like an old man's studio feel to it.
But he's this tiny like bear cat
and
lion.
He's holding a pipe.
He's holding a little pipe.
He just looks like a little old man, but he's still an adorable little bear baby.
Just an old man, baby, bear, cat, lion.
With wings.
With wings. And then the final thing that happens is the Next Time On. Did you watch the Next Time On?
Briefly, yes. I didn't pay a ton of attention. But
Yeah.
I did a little bit.
It's from Sakura's perspective. She's
Yeah.
like talking. And we see like some spooky shadows, and we see like somehow I was able to do it, but what if my friends find out? And then we see a scene of Tomio like seeing Caro. So it's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
And then we some like spooky shadows. And like it brings up like, and what's the like video that Tomio wants to show me? So, and then we get like the end. Spooky shadows, friends, the end. That's it.
Yep.
That's the whole episode. Yeah, let's do our questions now. So, who was your favorite character?
My favorite character was Sakura.
Yeah.
I relate to her a lot, minus the PE part. I am not good at sports. But her personality in general, I definitely related to. I feel like in 4th grade, I was a little bit like that. She's just like an awkward goofball.
Yeah.
And I love it. But I also really love Caro.
Caro's adorable.
But at this point, Sakura is my favorite, but it may shift.
It may shift.
Who knows? What's your favorite character?
This is so hard. I know characters that exist. Like, I know more about the characters, and I remember things about them. And like, remember Winking Boy from the picture, like Angry Winking Boy. Like, I was looking, and he shows up he doesn't show up till he's a major character and does not show up till episode 8.
Oh,
so, but I think it's Yuki. Like, from what I remember and what we saw in this episode, he's just like. He's, like, sweet and, like, down to earth, but, like, a little airheaded, and, like, I like him.
Cool.
He's my favorite. What was the most surprising thing about this?
That she was in 4th grade. I was really not expecting that. They did it really well, though. I was not expecting her to be so young, but then they portrayed her and her friends as 4th graders. Like,
it was executed. It was not only like, it wasn't just, oh, she's in 4th grade. It was, she's in 4th grade, and it feels like she's in 4th grade.
Exactly. And she's got that tiny little voice, and so does her friend, and they sound and look and act like 4th graders, which is good.
Yes.
What was the most surprising part to you?
To me, it was that this holds up so well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm excited to, like, maybe watch more. I'm excited. I just, like, even if we don't watch more, I want to personally watch more.
Yeah.
I've, like, gotten right back into it. Like, I was expecting to, like, not like it as much as I did, but I definitely am still, like, super into it and want to, like, get back into it, like, for realsies.
That'll be, yeah.
Oh.
I want to watch more, for sure.
What was your favorite part?
My favorite part was when Carol first appears. Everything about that scene just kept making me laugh really hard. Like when he first says, like, oh, I'm the keeper of these cards, and I'm in charge of making sure they don't... And then he pauses for a second where it's just really awkward, and then he notices, and then he's like, where did they go? He just freaks out. I loved it.
I think my favorite part was the, like, effects of, like, how the magic looks. Like, particularly the scene where she's sounding out Windy and it's sort of glowing around her and stuff. It was just very visually appealing in a very specific way that I was super into.
Yeah.
Okay, now what was your least favorite part?
That's hard.
Mm-hmm.
I think my least favorite part was just not getting enough of the other characters, but I don't even think that's a bad thing because it's just a pilot episode.
That's okay. It can still be your least favorite.
So my least favorite part was just not getting as much of the other characters because I was intrigued by all of them and wanted more. I expect that I will, in later episodes, get more of those characters. So
yeah,
it's not a big deal bad thing.
But it was your least favorite thing. I think my least favorite thing was the telling and not showing. As much as I think it did work, it's not like my preferred way of understanding these things. Like, it seemed like that would have been good if it was like, and like when we see her and then it pauses and it's written there, not like as like actual lines of dialogue that they could have filled with other stuff, where we could have like seen her be like good at PE or seen her be bad at math, as opposed to like just us telling them that.
Yeah.
That was my least favorite thing. Now we're gonna do a new thing that we've decided to implement if we're doing series. Do you want to do another episode on this?
I would love to. I definitely enjoyed it, and even if we weren't going to keep doing it for the podcast, I would want to keep watching it anyway.
Well, if we're going to keep watching it anyway, we're both going to keep watching it anyway.
Yeah.
We should keep doing it for the podcast.
I agree. High five.
High five. It won't be our next episode, but...
yes, we will try to keep it a little bit more broken up.
Yeah, we're thinking maybe every other episode will be a series episode, and the other episodes will be main episodes. But yeah, that was Cardcaptor Sakura. You can follow us on Twitter at Cousin Osmosis. Find us on iTunes or Stitcher or SoundCloud. Please leave us ratings and reviews. It really helps. Right now we have a 0-0 rating because not enough people have rated us. And I would prefer us to have a number that is higher than 0.
We do also have a Tumblr, which is also at Cousin Osmosis. But we haven't posted anything on it yet.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure what we should post on it, but...
I think for our... I don't know. We may not use the Tumblr at all. But we have one.
Yeah. If there's a podcatcher that we're not on that you would like us to be on, hit us up on Twitter and we can work on getting us on that, except for Spotify, because we already tried and they have not responded. So maybe not that one. But anything else, please hit us up.
Our theme song is also by the amazing Emily Rutherford, and you can find more of her music on SoundCloud at Emily Rutherford Music. The spelling will be in the description of the podcast.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, and now next episode. Our next episode is going to be
Moana,
which I haven't seen.
and I have very many times.
I'm so hyped to watch more Cardcaptor Sakura.
I am too. I'm really excited to see. I kept waiting for her to be in one of the cool outfits that she was in the theme song, and she wasn't. And I'm excited for those.
Yeah.
But I'm also excited.
Outfits are very good.
Yes.
All right, bye.
Bye.